Hello, I'm Brian Fox. Welcome to I Hate Rock Music. And I'm doing 5 videos today. I'm getting back to my bread and butter, how I started this channel with cool, obscure 60s and 70s bands. I just love that sound. And a great example of that is the band Tin House. And they're not quite as obscure as they used to be. Nobody had ever heard of them back in the day with all the promotion that Columbia Records or Epic Records gave to Tin House. They didn't do that well. I heard them on the radio, and I looked for the album, and I never found it back in the 70s. I didn't get a copy until probably the late 70s, and was really happy to find it. And I started to think I imagined it because um, Tin House just stuck in my head, and then I just never heard it or got a chance to get it. But album was recorded in 1970 and released in 1971. Floyd Radford on guitar and vocals, Jeff Cole on bass and lead vocals, and Mike Logan on drums. And it's really a great, solid American rock. There's some metallic tendencies, but they definitely got a little bit of a blues element to them, a little bit of a Americana, for lack of another way to put it. Not exactly folk, but they're just a really an American sounding band. Kind of remind me of something like Johnny Winter and or something like that. But yeah, one of the things that I have to laugh at those. It reminds me of the band Dust, and they had to finish high school before they went out and toured for their first album. The same thing with Tin House. They were 16, 17 years old when they recorded this record, and they had to finish high school after they got signed to Epic before they went out and toured. But they went out and toured with everybody. They actually played a show at the Orlando Pop Festival in 1970 in front of 100,000 people, the only band to get 3 encores, and everybody that saw them was completely impressed. And in fact, they were asked to open for Johnny Winter the second night. And so Steve Paul, Johnny Winter's manager, was really impressed with him, and Edgar Winter and Johnny Winter were really impressed with him. And it makes sense that by 1974, of course, Floyd Radford joined Johnny Winter and toured with Johnny Winter and was on his albums in 1974, and they were great together, just like Rick Derringer and Johnny Winter were great together. Floyd Radford is killer, and he could definitely hold his own with Johnny Winter. And so for him to be that incredible at 16 or 17 years old is really saying something. And you can kind of tell when you look at the picture of them on the cover. And then some of the naivety of the lyrics are definitely of a teenager. That's one of the only things that mars the records for me is some of the lyrics, like "I Want Your Body," are just pretty simple and somewhat naive, but I cut them some slack. It's the early 70s, they're teenagers. Um, they did as well as they could, but the music is just killer. Rick Derringer produced it, and he did a great job because the record is super powerful. And again, I can't believe that rhythm section of Jeff Cole and Mike Logan were mere teenagers, because a really powerful rhythm section, and you have to have a great rhythm section when it's just a trio. So the three of them were all excellent musicians in their late teens, and produced a great record. It really is super powerful, and um, a lot of great hard rock numbers and a couple of good ballads. Really good stuff all the way around. And it's also funny that even though they're in their late teens, they were already in a six-piece band called Marshmallow Steam Shovel, and by 1970 they decided to bail on that and become a trio, which makes total sense. Those kind of trios were really big in 70 and 71, and obviously these three guys were super talented and were ready to go, and so they made the right decision. But they also recorded some demos that they submitted to Epic, so somewhere out there are the original demos before recording the album, and that would be interesting to hear. I don't know if they're going to come out at some point, but the band reunited in 2009 and recorded an album, and it's not too bad. I'm not always a big fan. I always kind of like the rough edges and that early 70s feel they have originally. And when they reunite, I have total respect for them, and I think it's great that they're doing it. But I'm really interested in their original work, and in this case, it's excellent. Get by the lyrics, really strong. well-written material and totally powerful band, great trio. So Tin House, check them out. I'm Brian Fox. Thanks for watching I Hate Rock Music.